You're tuned in to another episode of the Talk About It podcast. I'm Lauren Fulmer.
I'm Victor Dantas.
And we have another special guest lined up for you today. We got Bryan Luedtke with us. Bryan, what's up?
How you doing today? Beautiful day out there today.
It is, and today we should be golfing.
We should be golfing, correct.
We should find a way to, we could have had this set up on a golf cart, been cruising around Bunker Links.
GoPro.
Yeah.
You guys play golf every Wednesday?
We play golf every day if we can.
Every day, every chance we get.
Yeah. No, I wish I didn't get a chance to so much this year, but I'm normally out there in the previous years quite a bit.
Quite a few times, some outings and with your buddies.
Yeah. I absolutely love golf. Victor has kind of just gotten into golf. I think he went once or twice this year.
Yeah, it's way too hard for me. I don't have the coordination with my arms to do the right move.
He's used to playing.
Well, you have to use your arms. You know,
yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah, he's used to soccer with no arms. So, well, Bryan, let's start off. You know, a lot of folks may not even know you personally. Why don't you just kind of tell us about yourself, maybe a little bit of your story, if you will.
Yeah. Well, I moved to Galesburg. This is my 8th season at Bunker Links, and I grew up in the Chicago area, grew up in the suburbs there, Elmhurst and Villa Park area, and got into golf after college and ran a Park District golf course up there in Oswego, Illinois for 15 years. And then somehow ended up in Galesburg, and it's been a real successful trip down here, and we've done a lot of good things at the golf course, so it's been a lot of fun.
One thing that just stood out to me, I didn't know this part about you. I have known you since you came to Galesburg. Personally, I was very excited when you did come. Longtime member of Bunker Links, and it was like, and nothing against the previous regime, but it's such a breath of fresh air. Kind of brought in some ideas, spruced up the place. Mm-hmm. You got some apparel hanging, But anyways, that's not where I'm going. You didn't start golf until after college,
right? So grew up playing all the sports as a kid: football, basketball, and baseball. Not soccer, sorry. And so grew up playing all those sports in high school, and then ended up finding a college that I went to and that gave me a scholarship because I had no money, and played football in college for 3 years. And I gave up my senior year to go to be an exchange student in Europe. So I lived in London for 6 months. So I gave it up to have that experience, and that was probably the best decision I made, was not only to go to college, but then to be an exchange student and see the world and see what else is out there outside of, your normal comfort zone. And so when I was in London, I was told I need to go play St. Andrews, okay? Mm-hmm. And then that year happened to be the Ryder Cup, 1989. The Ryder Cup was just outside London. And so I went and took a train up to the Ryder Cup and scalped a ticket outside the doors and went inside. And it was the most intense sporting event I had ever been to in my life. Now keep in mind, this was like when the wall was coming down in Germany. Russia and America were having some, tensions. Mm-hmm. And so there were people wearing red, white, and blue clothes, singing the national anthem. There were all these Europeans singing their songs. And then you get them around a green, and there's 20,000 people around a green, and all of a sudden they're completely quiet when somebody goes to hit a shot. And so it was mesmerizing, right? Because we're all used to growing up playing soccer or other sports where people are screaming while you're playing, right? Mm-hmm. If you're shooting a free throw or playing soccer, they're not quiet when you're
definitely not.
kicking a what do you call it when they
penalty
kick? Yeah, they're not. Oh, let's be quiet now so he can hit his penalty kick. They're screaming at the top of their lungs. That's what we're used to. So all of a sudden you get all that hustle and bustle, and then no sound, and you're like, oh my God, this is intense. And so when I got back, I thought, man, I got to give this a try. I got to see how good I can get at golf. And so that's how I got it. That's really what inspired me.
Is golf in England as popular as here? Or
yes. Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. In fact, some of you could probably speak more on it, but some of the longest standing golf courses are overseas, not in the U.S.
Right. Yeah. So it was invented in Scotland, right? So Scotland's your oldest golf course, St. Andrews, and then it grew from there. But London and the whole European continent is big golf. Okay. Big golf. Yeah.
Nice.
It's funny with golf, it's one of those sports you try to do the least of. right? I mean, to me, it's just always a little backwards. You know, I go with my dad, who's not, doesn't play regular, just a couple times a year. And he always makes a comment like, I'm going to get my money's worth out here. I'm going to make sure I'm hitting as many times as I can.
Right.
I don't know why you're trying to get out of here with only 70.
Right.
But yeah, it's funny concept that you actually want to play the least amount of golf. That's the whole goal.
Yeah, and so when you compete and you're playing in tournaments, and that's what I did as I started to get into it, was I was told you need to compete and you need to see how good you can be. And so then you're trying to shoot the lowest score. And so that's been my goal every time I play golf, how do I shoot the lowest score I can shoot? And so whether it's going out and playing with my buddies or going out and playing hit and giggle golf with some friends, or if you're playing in a tournament, it's what's the lowest score I can shoot. I never play anything but that.
Since I don't understand a lot about golf, what would be what the lowest score means? Like it's the number of times you hit the ball until you make in the hole?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So each hole has a par.
Okay.
It might be a par 3, it might be a par 4, it might be a par 5. So it's supposed to take you 5 shots to get into the hole.
Okay.
If it takes you 5, that's a par. If it takes you less than that, 4, that would be a birdie. If it takes you more than 5, 6, that would be a bogey. Okay. So the goal is to shoot that par number or better.
Okay.
And that's hard to do, really hard.
Really hard. I mean, you even see professionals who have played their entire life go into some of these tournaments.
So, sorry, what makes Tiger Woods be a good one? Like he makes like in 2 shots, 3 shots, a lot of times, 4 shots, or?
Tiger was not only the longest player of when he was playing, he was the longest. He was the best chipper in the world, and he was the best putter in the world.
Okay.
And he was also I think the stat was from 200 yards or more out, he was number 1 in the world. So his long irons were phenomenal.
Okay.
So, and he destroyed par 5s. So if you're long off the tee and then you can hit that 200-yard shot into a par 5 in 2 and then make the putt or 2-putt, you're going to make a 3 or a 4 on a par 5. So his lifetime under par on par 5s is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And then if you look at his par 4s, kind of like even par 3s, kind of like even par. So he just destroyed the par 5s. And that's what really good players do.
Okay.
Well, and Tiger's advantage too, he started playing at a very young age, which that's why I was so shocked when you said you started after college. Mm-hmm. I played with you. You got your PGA card. I mean, you can play. Mm-hmm. And to obtain that level of skill in a much shorter period than your peers, I mean, you're playing against people who started golfing when they're 6 or 7.
Yes, I agree with you. So we have a little bit in common because when I got out of college, I had a buddy who was going to Arizona State. And so I said, hey, I think I want to move down there and work on my golf game. And so I happened to be thumbing through a Golf Digest magazine, and there was an ad for golf schools of Scottsdale. Mm-hmm. And I called the number, and I said, hey, I just graduated from college. I want to get into golf, but I need a job, I said, come on down, we'll hire you. So I told him I'd be there in 2 weeks or whatever, and my buddy who was going to ASU at the time, they had one of their roommates move out. I had a place to live, had a new job, and that's how it started. Well, then I practiced, every day for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And that's how I got to be better at golf. So if you practiced every day for 2 years, you would get better.
Sure.
At whatever you practiced.
Sure.
Right? Whether it be soccer or ping pong or golf or whatever. If you practiced every day, you're going to get better.
Okay. So, and it's one of those things that, like anything, you're going to get out what you put in, But with golf, it's not one of those like riding a bike. You play golf all the time. You probably get to a level, like you could probably not play for a couple years, come out, and you're still going to strike the ball pretty well. But you're not going to play what you're accustomed to playing. Mm-hmm. We were talking on our walk down here. I've gotten a golf membership every year the last, 5, 6, 7 years. Yep. I did not get one this year, knowing I kind of had some home projects and stuff I was gonna be messing with. So I didn't invest in the membership, but I still would, on a free Sunday, like, hey, I don't have anything going on, call buddies, come out and golf, and just play terribly. Not anywhere close to, and I'm not a scratch golfer, or I wouldn't even call myself a good golfer, but I was a terrible golfer this year with just getting to play the 10 times or so.
Muscle memory, though, is the same as any other sport.
That's true.
If you were, I always remember Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan shooting free throws. He'd dribble twice, spin the ball in his hands, and shoot every time. Boom, boom, spin the ball, shoot. Right. So he had a routine that he built. How many free throws do you think he shot in practice to develop that routine?
Repetition.
And I think he was like a 85% shooter from the free throw line his whole life, So now, if he took a year off, or played once a week, would he be 85%? Probably not, I mean, even though as great as he is, maybe he'd be 79%.
Right.
I mean, he's certainly not going to be the same.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So golf is very similar because it's all muscle memory. You gotta train your muscles to do what you want them to do. No different than any other sport.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how soccer would be.
Same thing, repetition.
With your footwork, right?
Yeah.
With your stamina,
Shots.
with your cardio, with your shots, putting spin on the ball. I mean, that's what I see when I'm watching highlights is how they're putting spin on the ball. I mean, that's got to take a lot of practice.
Oh yeah, a lot of repetition. You repeat a lot of times until you get to the muscle memory.
Yeah, correct.
It's like you're saying, yeah.
So what part of golf, so here you are, you're after college, you moved to Arizona, and you're like, hey, for 2 years, I'm just going to buckle down and dedicate time and energy. Through that period of time, what was it about this game of golf that really did grab you and like really push you to make that commitment?
I think that you could see progress. So when you put the time in, you could see your scores go lower. So, golf's an easy game to see where you're at because there's a scorecard, right? There's not really a scorecard on the practice field of soccer because you might have a great game but not score, right? So keeping score is really a huge, motivational tactic because if I shoot 80 one day and I practice and I shoot 79 the next day, well, hey, if I shoot 78 the day after that, hey, I'm starting to see improvement. So you basically would see your scores go from your first goal was to break 80 because I was like a 85, 90 shooter. Your first goal was to break 80, then it was to break 75, then it was to shoot even par, right? That was your next goal, shoot even par. Then once you did that, then it was how do I shoot under par, right? And then how low can you go after that, difficult to do.
What's your record? Your personal, I know you got a round where you just killed it and say, I don't know who this guy is.
61's my lowest.
So is that 10 under or 11 under?
10 under. 10 under, yep.
Okay.
I've shot 62, or I've shot 61, 62, 63, 64, and everything on the way up. So, but I've never shot lower than that. I believe I have, I think I've set 7 course records in my life, where you're either playing in a tournament or whatever, and you just have that round of your life, and it happens to be the lowest round ever shot on that course. So, I've had the ability to make birdies and to continue getting better, and so but it's not easy though. Those rounds. You're talking about 30 years of golf. And I've shot 61 once. I've shot 62 once. I've shot 63 a couple of times. But
Victor has a couple course records too. He has the most strokes ever used, the most.
So Bryan, so if there's a young guy that he wants to be a professional golf player, what would be the first steps? Do you think it would be? I don't know if there's high school golf. Is there high school golf?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it would be high school, college, and professional, or there is other amateur golf that you can make a pro. How does that work?
Well, if you want to get better, you have to compete, right? You can't just go out and play with your brother or your sister or your mom and dad. That's fun, certainly, but you've got to compete against other players and better players to get better. So let's say you're on the high school team. Okay, so you have your high school golf season. Well, in the summertime, you better be competing in other tournaments with other juniors, right? So you're trying to play against a player who's better than you. So I can see what he does and see how good he is or she is and elevate my game. What do I need to work on? Every time I play in a tournament, you figure out real quick how good you are and what you need to work on, right? Oh man, my chipping was terrible today, right? Oh, my putting, I 3-putted, 3 times. I can't do that. I got to work on my long putting. I didn't reach par 5s and 2, and the guys I was playing with were reaching them, and they made birdies and I made pars. So how do I get a little longer? How do I work on my speed training? How do I work on my fitness? How do I eat healthier? You know, things like that are going to make me better. So you find out real quick how good you are.
Yeah. So on the fitness, that brought me to attention. So the fitness, so the golf player, good golf player, needs to be like skinny or what's the good fitness level for a golf player?
Well,
like you need to be strong, you need to be fast, you need to do cardio.
Yeah.
Does cardio make any difference in golf?
Those are all great questions, and I think, you know, when growing up, you know, they all probably looked like me, shorter and you know, stockier, right? Mm-hmm. And now they're tall and lean and, mm-hmm. you know, athletes, you know, real athletes, and where they're working out and working at it hard. And they've got all these golf fitness exercises to work on your speed and your muscle, you know, the muscles you're using for golf. So yes, mm-hmm. no different than any other sport. You know, football players are working on that burst
explosion.
Yeah, the explosion speed. I'm sure tennis players are doing, you know, what it takes to get better at tennis.
Change directions.
Change directions. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, flexibility is pretty key with a good golf stroke, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you got some guys, I guess some buddies, you know, very strong, mm-hmm. You know, can barely put their arms down. Well, they go to swing a golf club, there's not much they can do.
Yeah.
You know, so there is flexibility. And as silly as it sounds, cardio too. I mean, you play 18 holes and maybe go play 18. You know, we've all played 36 in a day or something, and then you go play 18 the next day, and you're like, gosh, I'm sore. And you're in the golf cart. You might not even necessarily walked.
Well, you know, you know, what's funny is bending down, you know, on the green, marking your ball, your knees get sore, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine a catcher catching 9 innings. I mean, mm-hmm. I can't imagine how sore their knees must be. It's just amazing that they can do mm-hmm. that. But, you know, like Lauren's saying, you play 18 holes and I'll find my knees get sore the next day. You know, my mm-hmm. back gets sore, your shoulders get sore, your neck will get stiff. I mean, you're putting a lot of torque on your body to produce those swings. And you're swinging, think about it, you're swinging the club over 100 miles an hour, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, you do the math on that, and there's a lot of torque.
70 times.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Yeah, 70
you know
times.
What I mean?
Yeah. Plus all the practice swings and warm up and everything else.
Right.
So yeah, there is a toll that's on your body, and you're seeing even younger players, knee injuries and back injuries and shoulder injuries and wrist injuries, elbow. You know, there's a lot of torque when you hit the ground. You know, if in slow motion, you just see all the vibration that goes on in mm-hmm. your body. You know, imagine on a header, right, in soccer. Imagine if you slow motion a header, boom, man, the vibration that probably goes through your body mm-hmm. doing that. I'll just do that 70 times a day. I mean,
sure.
Yikes.
For sure.
Yeah.
I see that you were in the PGA stuff. What does it take for someone to be part of the Professional Golfers Association?
That's a great question. So a young person who wants to get into the business, they have to go through the PGA and go through their program. And so it's basic, it's simple. And when you think about it, they have a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3. So you purchase, like, it's kind of like going to, I would say, community college. You're purchasing level 1 books, and so they give you books on merchandising, teaching, you know, advertising, all things that are related to small businesses. Really, is what it is. You're just running a small business, and so you have to go through those books. That you have to do work, and then you have to get tested on it. So at the end of the year, you have like 3 years to accomplish this. But usually, most people that are serious about it do it in 1 year. Then they go and get tested on it. Yeah. And then you have to pass the test. And then if you do, then you go to level 2.
Written test.
Yeah.
Okay.
Written tests on all that information that they sent you. Then they send you the level 2 information, and you do the same thing. You have to go through all that book work, do all the work on it. And you have to be working under a PGA professional at the time. So you can't be doing this and working at Walmart. You have to be doing this and working at a golf course.
Level 2 only, or all levels?
All levels.
Okay.
All levels. So level 1, level 2, then level 3. Now, during this time, which usually takes 3 to 5 years, I would say. If you're serious about it, you'll be done in 3 years. Mm-hmm. If you're lollygag, it might take you a little longer. But during that period of time, that 3 years, you also have to pass a playing ability test. So you have to prove that you can play golf, and you have to prove you can play at a somewhat high level. And that's the only time you're ever tested on your actual golf ability. Once you pass that test, and then you pass the levels 1, 2, and 3, then you're qualified to become a PGA member, and then you're voted into membership. Okay. So it's a process. It's a process. So I did that after college and went through those 3 things, and then passed my playing ability test. It took me 2 times. So even though I was a good player the first time I did it, nervous. You play 36 holes in one day. So you play 18 in the morning, and there's a target score posted for the day that you have to shoot. So you play 18, you have lunch, and then you play another 18. Okay. And the way I kind of figure it is during 36 holes of play, you're probably going to have every shot in golf. You're going to have to hit your tee shot in the fairway. You're going to have to hit a lot of greens. You're probably going to have a short bunker shot. You're going to have a long bunker shot. You're going to have a short pitch. You're going to have a long pitch. You're going to have long putts. You're going to have short putts. You're going to have just about every shot you can imagine, plus the mental strain of 36 holes in one day, knowing that this is your career on the line, right? And so you might have 30 people trying to qualify in an event that the PGA puts on, and you might have 1 or 2 pass.
And people are watching? Like you have... Is it,
I mean, you can. There's not a lot of spectators for that, but
sure,
you could have some spectators. But that's not really a spectator event. It's just part of the process,
right?
And it's mentally demanding.
Absolutely.
So I remember the first time, probably shooting 75 or 78 in the first round, and then you're at lunch going, "Oh my gosh, now I got to shoot 65 in the second round. How am I going to do that?" And then the second time I did it, I shot under par the first round, so I shot 68 or something, and so then you can kind of coast in the second round, and you don't have to take chances and things like that, and you can be mentally smarter. But that's not easy to do. I mean, it's a process.
And what are the benefits of being part of the PGA?
That's a good question. We are considered the experts on the game, right? Okay. So that gives me credibility when it comes to teaching Lauren or teaching your youngster or anyone who comes to me for golf lessons. We have to keep up our credentials. So every year, no different than maybe like a physical trainer or something, we have like a point system every year that we have to continue our education with seminars and things like that. So we're keeping up with the latest trends of marketing, management, social media. We're learning about all these things as we go, trying to improve the game, and then promoting it. So we're kind of considered the experts of the game, and I take a lot of pride in it because I've been in golf for 30 years. So to me, it means a lot, and I take pride in it because I keep up my continuing education, and I also compete. I continue to compete, and so for me that's fun because that's, as youngsters playing sports, the competition was what we wanted. We just wanted to beat our buddy no matter what it was at.
Okay.
One thing I always think watching golf on TV, and you talk about playing in tournaments, right, is, I mean, you've given me golf lessons, but like for an amateur to sit there and think like on a tee box, and I mean, there's like 85 people on both sides, like all of you might want to leave, like I can line drive one into you anytime,
right?
And so I always think in my head, gosh, I mean, even the first time, 10 times, 20 times showing up at these tournaments, at what point does that start to feel more comfortable? Or at least for you. I'm sure everyone's different.
Yes, that's an excellent question. Playing in front of a crowd, it would be no different if you were playing soccer or if you were shooting free throws in front of a crowd of people that had to win the game or whatever like that.
Right.
They say the tour players, the more that you put yourself in a position to win, right? You might choke this time, you might choke the next time, or somebody might just beat you, right? I played good, but somebody beat me, okay? you get more and more comfortable in those situations. So it takes a while, but you also have to be confidence in yourself, right? I like playing in front of a crowd because to me your focus kind of lines up a little bit more. You know, I don't. You know, a lot of times you'll have a tendency to maybe daydream or look around, but when there's people watching, you know, you're focused on what you're doing, and so for me, I've always kind of excelled in those situations.
Good.
What would be the next level after PGA? Is there some what type of competition you would try to make it to be higher and keep going up?
Yeah. So there's a lot of there's people like me that you know, tried to play professionally, because I played some mini tours when I was younger, when I lived in Arizona, and I would go to California and play in some mini tour events and things like that. And there was a tour in Arizona that I played some events. But, you know, I didn't have any money, and so, you know, that kind of dream ended real quick. And so then I had to figure out how I was going to pay the bills, so it became a job. Then there's people who, like Barry Cheeseman, for example, who played on the PGA Tour, and now he's doing what I do, which is he teaches golf, you know, so he kind of came the other way. You know, I came this way, he came this way. And so for me, you know, the next step to get more competitive would be to try to play in some mini tour events, and then you would graduate to like what they call the Corn Ferry Tour, which is the next level tour, and then after that you'd go to the PGA Tour. But you know, I mean, there's 125 guys in the world on the PGA Tour. I mean, what's your chances of making it? I mean, you know,
in the world,
well,
125.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all.
That's how many guys make their card every year, right?
Right.
So you know,
yeah. See, I would have thought it'd be more than that, but no. That's,
well, with your like lifetime exemption guys,
sure,
and Tiger Woods and people like that, you know, maybe that number's 200. But the point is
it's a lot of competition.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And there's the funny part of golf is there's all levels of golfers, right?
Yes, correct.
I mean, gosh, I remember when I first started. I mean, you don't even want anyone, like, you know, probably how you felt. You don't want anyone watching you try to hit this golf ball.
Yeah.
And then you start to get a little bit better. So then you go out and play. Well, then you run into maybe some older gentlemen. They're like, oh, you go ahead and play through. And in my head, I'm like, no, because then that means I have to hit in front of you. Like, you guys go, you know. And then you slowly get a little more confident.
Yes.
You know, and then you start doing golf outings and you're playing with groups. And even then, you know, you're first starting off, you're a team. So 3 guys are depending on me to maybe do a good shot here. Yes. And then you're going, gosh, I don't know why. They're probably wondering why we bring him today, you know. But the best part about golf that I truly, truly enjoy and love about it is how it has this direct correlation to really life. You know, and then we could probably spend an hour talking about those similarities. And well, you maybe throw out some that stood or grabbed your attention. You know, like we talked about, first of all, you spend time, invest your energy, and you'll get good at it, right? I mean, in life, if what our goals are, wherever you want to be, if you focus that energy, the odds are you're gonna get closer or get there.
Right.
You know, what are some similarities of golf and life that have like really hit you in a special way over time?
I think the biggest thing for me was trying to control your emotions when you played golf, because when we were playing football and basketball and baseball and you're with all your buddies and you're rah and you're hitting your heads together and stuff like that, you know, those sports are different because you're letting your emotions out, right? And so you're screaming and yelling and come on defense and come on offense and come on Lauren, and, you know, get a hit on this one, you know. I mean, so then golf, you have to try to control those emotions, right? You have to control it. If something good happens, okay. If something bad happens, okay. If you can do that, you can become a good golfer, because to me, that's been the biggest thing for me to try to overcome. Just playing, I think, growing up playing other sports, and then golf to me is like the exact opposite of trying to control those emotions instead of letting them out.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, you know, I always say, just like you said, you have one good shot, so what? I mean, it's like in real life, you had a great day, you killed it. So what? Tomorrow is here.
Yeah.
Right? And so with golf, it's your next shot. Like you just had a great shot. Oh, that's fine. You have another shot in front of you. What are you going to do with that?
Yes. And the other thing about golf is you have to go out and prove it every day. So just like you're saying, if you're, if you're a salesman going door to door, you got to go out and prove it, right? If you're selling encyclopedias or vacuums, right, door to door in the old days, you had to go out and prove it every day.
Yeah.
Okay, that's no different than golf. There's no guaranteed, money on the PGA Tour. You got to show up and you got to earn it, and you got to make the cut to make a paycheck. And so, to me, that's because you shot 68 today doesn't have any effect on what you're going to shoot tomorrow. Right. And so now you got to tee it up and you got to start all over again. You're starting from zero, right? And you got to figure out a way to get it done again. And so to me, I see these guys on TV and girls on TV and they shoot 65, 65, 66, 65. It's like, holy moly, like I can do that one day, right? How do you do it 4 days? Right? And so that's the difference between me and somebody on TV. I can do it one day. I can't do it 4 days.
So so soccer, for example, usually, there are some sports that when you have a team that has several players, not always the best team beats the worst team.
Okay.
It's a lot it's a lot of balance. Like I would say in football, soccer, volleyball, not always the good team will beat the worst team.
Okay.
But now, like in tennis, golf, which is a game 1 against 1, or one person represents one team. Do you think in golf, almost 100% of the time, the best player will beat the other one?
So in a 4-round golf tournament, right, the cream usually rises to the top. In a 1-round golf tournament, anybody can win.
Yeah.
Anybody can win.
So in these tournaments, they may play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So everyone goes out Thursday, and they'll come out Friday, and then that's where they'll like make a cut. So the people, they'll take the top portion, and whoever didn't, they're out. They don't play then on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
And so what he's saying, like, yes, the better golfers, they're going to be able to show up more over a 4-day period than a guy. So one guy, he might come out of the gates blazing on Thursday and be on fire, maybe even make the cut. But by Sunday, he's in the bottom.
That's true.
And it will happen quite often.
And a lot of times in events that I play in are PGA events, which is a lower level of golf. It's not TV. We're not on TV. But if you have a 1-day tournament, there's lots of players that can win that 1-day tournament, right? When we go to a 2 or 3 or 4-day tournament, you can kind of pick out a handful of guys that are going to be at the top.
Okay.
Basically,
if you give more chance for the...
Yeah, like Tiger Woods. He might have had a bad Thursday, but you better watch out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because he's going to come with it, Okay. And it kind of goes back, we were talking about life and golf. We were talking about in sales, you might have a killer sales day on Thursday, but then you come Friday and you don't really show up. And
I'm asking that because, like in soccer, the emotion is when you know that you cannot say, oh, this team's gonna win or this is gonna win. No, you never know who's gonna win a game. Well, you can't say this team's better than this. It does not mean anything.
No. But those guys aren't going to be promised anything either. No? Okay. Even the best of the best. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's even amateur or beginning pros who have come in and won tournaments.
Yeah.
They just played their butt off for 3-4 days. They showed up and they got it done.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's possible. That's the cool thing about golf. It's just you and that white ball. You can't, you'll hear people, oh, the wind, or that tree. If that tree limb wasn't there, well, it was there. We got a couple buddies, they're always like, oh man, if it wouldn't have did that, I would have had a good, Well, yeah, if the green was over there and not here, I would.
Does the wind interfere a lot?
Wind is your biggest factor in golf. Similar to, we watched some NFL games over the weekend that, like, the Bears game was extremely windy. And so it was hard to pass in one direction. It was easier to pass in the other direction, you know, that
Okay.
type of thing. So golf is very much the same way. Wind is very effective of your golf ball.
Well, and how a golf course is laid out, right? You're not always going. So one hole, the wind is going to be at your back. And then you come over here. Well, now it's a crosswind.
Yeah, okay.
And then you're playing back over. Now it's in your face. So you can't even just be like, well, today the wind is this way.
Yeah.
And it's going to, every hole, it's going to change.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you look at like basketball, you know, where it's indoors, and I always love that movie Hoosiers, where he measures the hoop, and it's 10 feet high, you know, and he's like, yep, it's the same height as our gym back at home, you know, and so, you know, everything's the same, and the temperature's the same, and there's no wind. Well, that's different. That's a different sport,
Yes,
right? That's a different sport. So soccer's played mostly outside, and wind can affect
wind
that.
interferes,
Cold, you know, rain.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, all those elements.
Time of day. You know,
Time
you
of
can
day.
go, you can golf, you can start golfing in the morning, and the dew is still out there, and you're putting, and it's real slow, and you know, an hour later, the sun's been out, it's kind of dried up a few of those greens. You're still trying to hit it. No, thinking it's wet, you got to hit it harder, and now it's dry, it's blowing. I mean, it's
True.
it's so much like life. That's what I love. I mean, 'cause life is throwing new curveballs every day, and the minute you think you have it by the balls is the minute you get a rude awakening.
You're
you
exactly
know?
right. Yeah,
And
exactly
that goes
right.
with life. You know, I was talking with my mom just not too long ago. You know, hey, how's things going? And it's like, it's going so good. I'm just waiting for that bottom to drop. You know, I mean, look, I've been around long enough. I know how this goes, and I'm very hesitant to get all like, oh my God, it's killing it. It's going great. Now I know I've seen this movie before, you know, so I kind of make that joke, but
Well, if I had a nickel for every time somebody came up to me and said, I got my golf swing figured out.
I figured it out.
Figured it out. Okay, if I had a
Oh,
nickel
yeah.
every time I heard that, I'd be really
Yeah,
wealthy.
you want to be giving lessons anymore, huh?
So where are you teaching golf now?
So Bunker Links Golf Course is in Galesburg, Illinois, and I teach. When I teach, it's kind of like a part-time job for me. You know,
Okay.
my main job is running the golf course and managing the golf course. Teaching is kind of a part-time job. Playing and competing in tournaments, to me that's kind of a part-time job. I don't rely on it to pay my bills and things like that.
Okay.
I do it for fun, and yes, we play for money, and it's fun to compete against our fellow professionals and play for money. You know, so that's kind of fun for me too. And I've tried to. I play probably in maybe 15 tournaments a year, and I just got back from New Mexico, so I was playing in New Mexico. I don't know if you knew that or not. So I qualified for the PGA Senior National Championship, which is 50 and older PGA members like me. And so I went to New Mexico, and they have a 36-hole cut after 2 days. I made the cut. I shot 72 and 74, made the cut right on the number. And then the third round, they have another cut after the third round. I shot 72 again, made the cut there. And so played all 4 rounds, and ended up finishing 45th out of probably 2,000 professionals from around the
That's
country
good.
that tried
That's
to qualify
great,
for
man.
the event. So
Yeah.
so
That's awesome.
That was super fun, and I made money.
Yeah.
So-
So what's the best that you've ever finished in one of those tournaments? First?
No, I've never won
No.
that. This was the first time I ever made the cut. So I've played in it 4 out of the 5 years since I've been 50. So and this was the first time I ever played all 4 rounds.
Were you
So-
pretty pumped?
Oh yeah. I mean the competition is really good. I mean,
You talk 2,000 people.
yeah.
If
so,
you make it first, what's the type of award?
this one wasn't a huge purse, but I think it was $26,000 to the
It's
winner.
not bad,
Yeah.
So-
That's a nice
but it
little-
might be hard. Right?
Well, clearly.
Yeah, it's
You know, like I go to Bunker Links and golf, and you know, Bryan is a pro, right? Like you, as your, I don't even, I almost said amateur. I'm not even that, but like as a, what do you call it? Avid
golfer.
Yeah, I mean, I just like to go play.
Yeah.
You know, but you look and you're like, hey, look, the pro is over here practicing 4-foot putts. I mean, I'm not kidding you. The length of this table, and I'm like, what is the guy practicing 4-foot putts for? You know, well, I mean, if you're going out and playing these tournaments, that 1 or 2 times you miss that,
You can't miss
could not make the cut,
Correct.
or cost you're in the cut, And the final day for payout, it might be 3-4 places, which could be significant money.
One shot here or there is all it takes. Yeah.
But, it's just funny for me as someone who's like, you've seen me at bunker, call it 500 times.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen me over on the practice green?
I've seen you hit range balls a few times. I've seen you on the practice screen a few times.
But not very often.
If we had to divide that by 8 years that I've known you, I'd say probably 8 times, once a year.
Right. And that's why I will miss the majority of those putts. But, golf is, it means something different to so many people, right? I mean, just for me, I said I got a membership the last probably 6-7 years. Yeah. I very rarely add my score up, and I should, especially if I'm wanting to. Yeah, I do care about getting better, right? But to me, so much of golf, and just for me personally, is to be able to shut my dang phone off, turn up some music, some camaraderie with friends, laughing, talking a little trash, and a couple cold beers, and that's like, gosh, I just had the best day. Yeah. And I don't care how good or bad I shot. I just had a good day.
You there just for the beers?
Well, I know. I honestly, I usually probably only have 3-4 beers during golf. I'm not a big beer drinker anyways, but it's that like camaraderie and laughing and music and just not care for 3-4 hours.
But to be honest with you, though, he's the person that keeps golf going. Right, he's the one. He's our average customer right there. That's our average customer, person who shoots whatever he shoots, comes out, plays with his buddies, listens to music. Maybe not that interested in what he shoots, just out there to have a good time. I mean, to me, I love the smell of fresh cut grass. I love looking at trees. I love watching the leaves fall. Every once in a while you'll see a deer running or a coyote running or a eagle fly by or a hawk or something like that. The squirrels are running around. I mean, to me, it's a lot better than sitting in a cubicle and bean counting something somewhere. So to me, it's been great because I could never wear a suit and tie to work every day. Right? Sure. But what I am seeing in the trend of golf is very similar to what you're talking about. I'm seeing more people listening to music, okay? I'm seeing more people playing like with their shirts out, right? So not necessarily like tucked in and all proper in the old days, being a little more casual. Also what I'm seeing is a lot of like 2-person scrambles. So let's say the two of you decide to go play and me and another buddy decide to go play together and we play a 2-person scramble and you guys play a 2-person scramble. And so what I'm seeing is a lot of that because maybe one of you doesn't play that much. But every once in a while, you're going to hit a good shot. And then all of a sudden, you're like helping out, right? And so then you're seeing more high fives and hey, great shot. And you're seeing some camaraderie. I'm seeing a lot of that happening at the course, especially with younger people, high school, college, just out of college. You're seeing a lot of that because golf's hard. And so to play 18 holes and, shoot a score, a lot of people don't shoot under 100. Right. I mean, your average golfer doesn't break 100. So, you go out there with your buddy and you play a 2-person scramble, you might shoot 80 in a 2-person scramble. Right? Well, that's pretty good. And so then they leave there going, wow, that was fun. Let's do it again. Rather than beating your brains in, trying to break 100 and, losing balls and taking 1,000 swings and all that stuff, and so that's kind of the trend I'm seeing in some of the younger people.
I do got to throw this out. I remember this. It was like very early in our friendship. I was saying Bryan comes, he takes over Bunker Links, right? And he's new, he's excited. You know where I'm going with this? Yeah. He's new, man. He's like, I'm gonna clean this place up. We're gonna get this place going, get this place nice. And I have my membership, but I wear this is more casual than anything for work. I mean, typically I have a button-up shirt or a polo. I'm dressed up all day, so I come home. I want to put my sweatpants and my sweatshirt and go out and golf. So like I'm meeting Bryan, and he's like who? He starts calling me LeBron James. He's in different names all the time. Like he's like, what is this, hip hop day at the golf course? LeBron James is here, and I would just die cracking up. And I loved real quick, just feel like kind of hit it off with you. You know, we talk trash, have fun, but also, you know, very respectful about it.
I do that with a lot of people, though, and
Right.
Lauren's no different because I try to treat everybody the same, and it's similar like with jeans. You know how Casual Friday was invented, right? With jeans. So, you know, it might be Tuesday, and I might see somebody with jeans on and be like, "Oh, Casual Tuesday today. I have got the jeans, sporting the jeans today." You know, so very similar to how I treat Lauren, which was I used to call him LeBron all the time because he'd come in with his gym shorts on and his tank top or his
Yeah, I
t-shirt.
would in the summer. I got a tank top. I got a tank top on. I got some khaki shorts or whatever, basketball shorts. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm here to be comfortable. Turn the music up. Yeah. And he wasn't judging, talking trash. I mean, just being silly.
On the professional level, is there a outfit that every professional player is required to wear, or there's nothing like that's required? Or mandatory?
The PGA Tour is going to require slacks, right?
Okay.
They're going to require a collared shirt.
Okay.
You know, you have to tuck your shirt in. You know, those.
You
type
have
of,
to?
yeah.
Okay.
And if
Do you
go
have to have a belt? I wonder if that's part of it.
That's
I
a
feel
good
like
question.
the white belt is almost mandatory
the
when
white
I
belt
see
is
these
mandatory.
golfers.
A lot of private clubs don't allow the shirt to hang out.
Right.
A lot of private clubs don't allow you to use your cell phone at the course. You know, there's still some old school thinking going on out there in golf, and that's starting to change. But some of the, older, more established clubs still have some rules like that. And whatever the rules are, you just follow them. You know,
Yeah,
it's just the
I mean,
rules.
there's quite a few that even if they require a collared shirt, there's quite a few. If you don't have one, they got one you could put on for the day.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they want you to play. They want you to be
Yes.
there.
But if you're going to go play, I don't want to name a course or anything, but if you're going to go play some exclusive country club, you know, you're going to know what the rules are going in. You know, they might even have it posted on their website.
Right.
You know, for guests, you know, like a guest thing. You know, here's what you're required to do. You know, stop at the bag drop and drop your bag off. Let the valet take your car. You're gonna go into the locker room and Tony will meet you there, and then and they might spell it all out for you on what the rules of the day are. You know.
Yeah.
You know, people. I mean, my perspective of golf, maybe in the past, was that golf is only played by people that have a lot of money. Do you think that changed a little bit, or it's still like, I wouldn't say like not for only rich people, but for a class that's higher than poor, or you see poor people starting to play golf as well?
I think that's a good question. I think it was perceived as that for years, right?
Yeah.
Perceived as that. And, you know, if you go and buy a new driver today, you know, let's say you go to online at Callaway.com and buy a new driver, it might be $500, right? $500.
One club.
For one
So
club.
the equipment is expensive.
Right. But you might be able to buy that same driver that might be a couple years old for $100. You know, so they're and I look at parents that are spending $300, $400, $500 on a bat, right, for their child to play baseball.
Sure.
You know, and what shoes cost and the uniforms and the travel and all that stuff. So I don't think it's any different than all these other sports that these kids are playing. Soccer may be one of them, and why it's picking up more because you have one ball, right?
Yeah, you don't need a lot of equipment to
You don't
start
need,
playing.
yeah, you need shoes.
Yeah.
You probably need some shin guards and a ball.
Yeah, the
right?
shoes is the most important thing.
Yeah. So that may be one, and I think that's probably why it's starting to pick up in America also. But when I talk to parents and you know how much they're spending to go to these volleyball camps and these baseball tournaments and these softball tournaments, and they're spending money to stay in hotels and the travel leagues and all this stuff. I mean, golf isn't any more expensive than any of that. I can tell you that much.
Well, and I don't know what the numbers are on this. I read this, and it could be a couple years old information, but like golf is one of the most underutilized scholarships
For women.
for women. Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, like if you have, I have an 11-year-old daughter, and she enjoys coming out, and we'll swing a little bit, not quite to where she's playing, but yeah, I mean, I've told her that 100 times. I mean, if you can get, you know, a pretty average or above average, close to average level of golf skill for these young women, I mean, you can get a full ride
Sure.
to some of these colleges nationwide.
If you can break 90, you can go play golf as a girl college player. If you can break 80, you're going to be
playing
right
about anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But one more thing on that, Victor, on the price. You know, some of the things that Bunker Links has come up with in the last few years is we have a family golf program where a parent and child can come out after 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's like $5 to play. Okay. We have junior sets of clubs in the clubhouse that are just lined up that we just borrow to kids. If let's say your child wants to try it out, right? We have sets that you can just borrow and use, doesn't cost anything. So we've tried to look at that, right, and come up with some ways to get more people involved. So I agree with you that it can be perceived as an upper class sport, but if you look into it, you can find ways to play
for sure.
And there's people donating clubs all the time. You could play in your gym shoes. I mean, you don't have to have $200 pair of golf shoes to play golf. We're borrowing sets out. Come out with your grandpa or grandma and play after 5 o'clock at night. I mean, there's certainly ways to do it on the inexpensive.
Oh yeah.
And our junior membership fees. We changed that a few years ago, where we made like 3 different categories. We made under 18 and under, 19 to 25, and 26 to 30. So we were kind of targeting that, that person who's coming out of college, who might not be making big bucks yet, but still wants to play. And we've gotten a ton of members through that.
That's awesome.
So there's ways that we're looking at that and kind of seeing what's out there and trying to make it affordable for people. Because I want you to play. I want Lauren to play. He tells me he played 10 times this year. I mean, I want him to play 50 times. But life happens too. He's got work. He's got kids. He's got families. I mean, this is what takes people away from golf. They want to be. They'd rather be at their child's soccer game or volleyball game than be out on the golf course. Whereas maybe 50 years ago, it was the other way around.
Yes.
Maybe dad was at playing golf this weekend, and maybe they dropped the kid off at the school to play baseball all day or something. I don't know.
Bryan, do you ever ask yourself, if you never would have went this whole golf route, what do you think you would have landed, man? What would you be doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. My dad was in banking. One of my brothers is in mortgages. One of my brothers is in appliances, and one of my brothers is an architect. So there's a wide.
You just covered all types.
I mean, there's a wide variety. But like I said, I could never wear a suit every day. So to me, this is like right up my alley. So I don't know. I probably would have been a bartender.
Yeah. Hey, I love bartending. I did that for a while.
Yeah.
I had a Hilton Hotel in Arizona. A great way to meet people. People who are, most of the time they're traveling, so they're already in good spirits and ready to talk. And bartending, it really, for me personally, stemmed back to Tom Cruise, the movie Cocktail.
Yeah.
I remember watching that thing when I was like 8 or 9. They're throwing the bottles up. And
did you do that? The bottle thing?
Oh, no. I throw them when they're empty. When they're empty. But I watched that movie, and I can promise, I literally remember being like 8 or 9 years old and being like, I want that.
Yeah.
I want to be a bartender on some resort. And gosh, I think that would just be so sweet.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Well, Victor was talking about, going to college, and he's not using his degree right now because it was in supply chain, right? Okay, so, I guarantee you there was something you learned in college that you're using now.
100%.
Just because your degree isn't maybe exact. But to me, when I was going to school, which was for business, right? And you had, a public speaking class, right? Or speech class or whatever. You had marketing, you had advertising, you had sales, right? Management. You had all these things. Well, that's what I do. That's all that I do. So at the time, I had no idea it was going to relate to golf. But it turns out that that's everything I do every day.
Yeah.
Is just small business activities of all those things you learned.
For sure.
And I don't know if I necessarily learned anything, but that's what I went to college for. But I didn't know I was going to use it. It just turned out to be where it did.
That's what I got my degree in that exact, as you just named each one of those, same thing.
Yeah.
And I really didn't have like a firm, this is what I'm going to do when I grew up, you know, but I figured here's something broad enough that would, you know, and ideally I did know I want to work for myself someday. So I figured the most I could know about accounting, finance, management, marketing, the better I guess I'll be, you know. So
for sure. Yeah, I think in school the main things I learned, and a lot of people don't really see the value in it. I would say first is how to communicate. That's not only in paper, not only email, but also in person with teachers, with classmates. How to work in group as a team. How to know that you have tasks to do every day, just like every adult have, and you need to have those accomplished. Commitment. Those are the most important things I learned in school.
On time.
Yes, exactly. On time.
Time management.
Yeah.
Time management.
Due dates, you know. So all those things, I think those are way more important than the actual, you know, technical stuff and terms that I learned about supply chain.
And
you
it's
know?
accomplishment too.
Yes.
You know, you accomplish something.
Yes,
and so to me, I understand college. You know, I don't know what I learned in college. I mean, I couldn't tell you, what I learned, but all those things you just said, I know I learned those.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
I know I learned how to be on time.
And
Or you
use
sharpen.
those. Yeah, we still use
Was
those.
I on time today?
no, yeah, you're extremely early.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But yeah, not only, if anything, college may have helped sharpen those tools, you know, or point out, or we go back to confidence, that you know you have this now, or it starts to click, right?
I don't know if it, I think it more or less told you this is how the world works. This is how the world works. You have to be on time, or they close the door and you don't get to come in.
True.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Same, and I mean, our football practices, if you weren't on time, guess what? You're not playing, right? So you better be on time.
Discipline.
Discipline.
That's
You know,
the
there's
thing
another
for
one.
sports,
Yeah. So I mean, those are things I think people learn in college that they don't. You know, people say, "Oh, college, you don't learn anything in college." Well, those are the life lessons you learn.
The most important, I would say. And
Yeah.
the rest, I mean, you learn. I learned a lot of terms, you know, when it comes to supply chain, like the how to say a lot of different things that people wouldn't know. But if I really wanted to learn the aspects of supply chain, I would need to work in a company that does supply chain, if that makes sense. I did work at a company that did it. I thought it wouldn't be the best thing for me to do at that time, but I do see the value. It's not like I'm saying school is not important, you know. It's very important, but
It's just not enough.
yes,
Right? You
yeah,
have
it's
to
not
get
enough.
experience.
You need to do hands-on is the most important
Well,
thing.
if you're going to school to be a doctor, right?
You need to
or
go
a
to
lawyer,
school. Yes.
right? Or an architect. I mean, you're learning things, right? You're learning things that are going to be you're going to use later in life.
Yeah,
you
for
know? So I mean, I understand that point, of it, but those life lessons was what I learned, and it was a wake up call of you know, this is how life has to be, and you got to be here on time, and those tasks you were talking about, and homework and things, and being able to accomplish stuff. I mean, that's what I got out of college.
For sure, for sure.
Well, let's talk too real quick about time, because one of my biggest pet peeves about golf, we can shut up after this, is when you have a tee time for 3:30.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you come pulling in the parking lot at 3:30. Okay, there's certain couple buddies I know you guys may watch. It doesn't mean you show up at 3:30. Tee time means you've maybe spent a little time. You've already paid. You got your beverages. You've practiced. You've stretched. You've done whatever. And then you are on the tee box at 3:30. Am I right?
You are correct.
I know that's the
You are
sense that
correct.
you're going to be the same way on me,
Yeah.
with me on that.
It's funny to me because you know, when, like you saying, if you had a 3:30 tee time, it's funny because you'll see, you know, 4 people walking up with their golf bags at 3:25, and you'll be like, oh, this must be the Johnson group, you know, they're next up at 3:30, you know, and
They're the 4 o'clock.
It's shocking to me because I have a regimen of when I play in a golf tournament of I get there an hour and a half before my tee time. So if I'm teeing off at 8 o'clock, I have to be there at 6:30. Okay, and this I learned this from football, because you had your whole day planned when you had a game, right? You had to wake up and you had your team breakfast, and then you went back and you took a nap or whatever, and then you had to be here for taping your ankles at what time, and then you had your leg pads on at this time, and then you put your shoulder pads on and your helmet, and then you take the field, and it was all spelled out. And so that's how I learned to do that in golf. So for me, I'm there an hour and a half. So it's funny to me when people show up 5 minutes before their tee time, because I have a stretching routine I go through. I putt for 15-20 minutes, I chip for 15-20 minutes, and I hit balls, and then my body is ready to go. And I'm trying to just get my brain and my body in unison, so that I'm mentally prepared to go. And so and I don't like to rush. I don't like to rush around when I'm getting ready to play in a tournament. I want to be relaxed. I want to be focused on what I'm doing, and not worrying about traffic, or am I going to make it on time, or all that kind of stuff. So yes, that is comical to me.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll just throw that out there. It's one of my biggest pet peeves about golf. It's the whole thing of it's a pet peeve when people are late, period. Yeah. But yeah, especially on golf, the whole reason we had a tee time is so it'd be reserved for us at that time.
Right.
But whatever. That's a whole other story. But Bryan, I appreciate you taking your time, come hang out with us on the Talk About It podcast. Very glad that you pursued this career in golf and made something out of it. So good work on that. Otherwise, we would have just been meeting with Bryan, the bartender, here today.
Yes.
That would have been fun, too.
Yeah, well, we would have some great stories, too.
How to be a professional bartender.
Yeah. Well, and one thing about bartenders, you see and hear it all. I mean, so if there's a bartender out there that got so good, you can come join us on the Talk About It podcast, too. Sure. But no, I appreciate you coming, man, and spending time. Bryan Luedtke.
Enjoyed talking to you.
PGA member and golf pro, and just all-around amazing guy. Thanks, Bryan.
Thank you, Bryan.
All right, it's the Talk About It podcast. I'm Lauren Fulmer.
I'm Victor.
And this amazing guy, Bryan Luedtke. You guys have a great day. Make sure you hit subscribe so you can catch every one of these as they come out.
See you next week.
All right. Thank you for watching this episode of the Talk About It podcast.
I'm Victor Dantas.
I'm Lauren Fulmer.
And we would encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell. It's going to be right below the video. So
hit the bell.
So you know when the next episode is up.
We appreciate all the support.
Thank you.